Order 66 marked the end for the Jedi across the galaxy, as clone troopers mercilessly turned on their Jedi generals that they'd been serving for 3 years in the Clone Wars. On the screen, when we watch Star Wars, we see this order in Revenge of the Sith, the Kenobi Show, Boba Show, the Bad Batch, Clone Wars, Jedi Fallen Order, etc. But today I want to dive into the minds of a few clones who disagreed with the order when it came down, what their thoughts on it, and why they disagreed. Of course, Order 66 was supposed to be able to shut down any doubt of disobeying these orders, but the clones don't actually hear the order from Palpatine, they just get the mission relayed to them from other clones, so it's indirect, therefore I think they're able to just disobey it much easier. So these are the clones exactly as they were before the order. They're the same even when the order comes in for them, now having to choose between serving Palpatine or serving the Jedi. And it comes from an excerpt from the book Dark Lord, The Rise of Darth Vader. Here is the context. Clones of the 32nd Air Combat Wing are serving under Jedi General Rowan Shrine and a couple other Padawans as they are fighting a battle on the planet Mercana. The clones and Jedi execute a plan that separates the two groups. Now the clones are about to get orders to execute their Jedi generals, who are on a different area of the planet. And this is their thoughts on all of it. What's your situation, squad leader? We're out of here as soon as the rest of the thermals are set, T5 at most. Retain a couple of those thermals, the trooper said. Your team is about to rejoin us soon. We have a revised priority. Revised how? One of the clones asked. The Jedi are to be killed. And Clymer fell silent for a long moment. Say again, Commander. We're taking out the Jedi. On whose orders? Are you questioning my authority? No, sir. Just doing my job. Your job is to obey your superiors. And Clymer recalled Shrine's actions in the generator room. His speed and accuracy, his skill with the lightsaber. The Jedi were not going to be easy to take out. Yes, sir. I'm just not too keen about going up against 3 Jedi. None of us are, Clymer. That's why we need your team here. I want to set up an ambush short of the rally point. Understood, Commander. Will comply. Out. Clymer rejoined his 3 teammates, all of whom were watching him closely. What was that all about? Trace asked. Clymer sat on his hunches. We've been ordered to spring an ambush on the Jedi. And Raz grunted. Odd time for a live fire exercise, isn't it? Clymer turned to him. It's no exercise. Raz didn't move a muscle. I thought the Jedi were on our side. Clymer nodded. So did I. So what'd they do? Trace asked. Clymer shook his head. Salvo didn't say, and it's not a question we're supposed to ask. Are we clear on that? The 3 specs regarded one another. How do you want to handle it? Raz said finally. The commander wants us to blow an ambush, Clymer said in a determined voice. I say we give him what he wants. A bit later, as they were making their way down, they began talking again. Our orders came down from the top of the command chain. I thought the Jedi were the top of the command chain, one of the clones replied. From the Commander-in-Chief, Clymer. Do you copy? Supreme Chancellor Palpatine, he asked. Salvo nodded. Evidently, you and your team need reminding that we serve the Chancellor, not the Jedi. Clymer considered it. Were you apprised of what the Jedi have done to prompt an order of execution? Salvo's upper lip curled. That doesn't concern me, Clymer, and it shouldn't concern you either. You're right, Commander. I must have been misprogrammed. All this time I've accepted that the Grand Army and the Jedi Knights serve the Republic. No one said anything to me about serving Palpatine first and foremost. Palpatine is the Republic, Clymer. Palpatine issued the orders personally. His command was to execute an order that had been in place since the start of the war. And then Clymer took a moment to consider it. Here's my take on it, Commander. All it comes down to is serving the ones who are fighting alongside you, watching your back, putting a weapon in your hand when you need it most. Salvo sharpened his tone. We're not going to argue this now. And a bit later, the question came up again. Did you learn anything about what prompted this execution order? Salvo spent a moment arguing with himself about what he should and should not reveal. Theta Command reports that 4 Jedi Masters attempted to assassinate Supreme Chancellor Palpatine in his chambers on Coruscant. The reason is unclear, but it appears the Jedi have been angling from the start to assume control of the Republic, and that the war may have been engineered to help bring this about. Clymer was stunned. So Palpatine's order was put in place because he anticipated the Jedi might try something. It's not unusual to have a contingency plan, Clymer. You should know better that than anyone. Clymer thought hard about it. How does it make you feel, Commander? About what the Jedi did, I mean. Salvo took a moment to respond. As far as I'm concerned, their treachery just adds more enemies to the list. Other than that, I don't feel one way or another about it. Clymer studied Salvo. You know, word among some of the troopers is that the Jedi had a hand in ordering the creation of the Grand Army. Were they figuring we'd side with them when they grabbed control like this? Or would they have turned on us eventually? No way to know, was the reply. Except they made their move too soon, Clymer said. Salvo nodded. Even now, troopers and Jedi are battling out inside the temple on Coruscant. Thousands are believed dead. I've never actually been to Coruscant, Clymer said, breaking a brief silence. Closest I ever came was training on one of those inner worlds of that system. You've been there? Once, Salvo said, before the start of the Outer Rim sieges. Who would you rather be serving, Commander? Palpatine or the Jedi? Was asked by Clymer. That's outside the scope of the part we're created to play, Clymer. When this war ends, we'll be sitting pretty. I wouldn't have thought so even 12 hours ago, but now, with the Jedi out of the picture, I suspect we're in for a promotion. Clymer glanced at the sky. Going to be dark soon. Puts our search teams at high risk of being ambushed. Salvo shrugged. More than 100 Seeker droids have been deployed. Shouldn't be hard to find 3 Jedi. Clymer blew his breath out in discretion. You know as well as I do that they're too smart to be caught. Granted, Salvo said. By now they're probably wearing bodysuits and armor. And the clones agreed with each other that they would do what was necessary. They would follow orders. They would follow Palpatine's plan and take out the Jedi, despite what they felt. And that's where the story kind of ends today. The clones had this inner turmoil. They didn't actually know what to do because they didn't get the orders directly relayed. So they had some actual questioning of the order. And that's something we don't see except for with Captain Rex, except he gets the order directly. He's just able to disobey it largely because of his connection with Ahsoka. But yeah, that's just like what clones were thinking. They were really questioning it. They were wondering, why would this order be passed down? Should we actually do it? Do we actually serve Palpatine? There was questions of who they served because there was no contact with Palpatine and the clones until this really very moment. You know, Palpatine didn't exactly go and give battle cries very often to the clones. And so when this order came down from Palpatine, some of the clones thought, well, why do we have to listen to this guy? He hasn't been in the war with us. We've been fighting with the Jedi day in, day out, and now we're ordered to kill them. So it's an interesting perspective of, you know, the clones kind of wondering why were we ordered this, rather than what we see on the screen a lot, which is the clones just being like, these are our orders, shoot the Jedi right now. And I've had fun reading it. Again, it's at the beginning of Dark Lord, The Rise of Darth Vader, which I've started going through now. Then I'm going to go through the Ahsoka book, might do Thrawn books. Anyways, a lot of content to cover here. I hope you enjoyed. Let me know if you've read this book. Let me know what you think of the Order 66, the clones not sure of what to do. And thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next video.